Part 1. The surrender. Marcus Chun was not a hero. He had never wanted to be one. He was 34 years old, and he had spent the last 8 years fixing broken machines on the orbital station called Artemis 7. He repaired water recyclers. He patched holes in the walls. He replaced worn-out cables and cleaning units. It was simple work, honest work, and Marcus liked it that way. The station floated above a small human colony world called New Shandong. Below them, 5 million people lived their lives, raised their children, and tried to build something good in a galaxy that was not always kind to humans. The Dominion had been pushing against human space for decades now. 12 alien species, united by fear and hunger, taking colony after colony. Artemis the 7th was supposed to be safe. It was far from the front lines. Nothing important ever happened there. That changed on a Tuesday morning. Marcus was eating breakfast in the station cafeteria when the alarms started screaming. Red lights flashed everywhere. People ran. Through the windows, he could see the human defense fleet scrambling into formation. Beyond them, the familiar shapes of Dominion warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel, their hulls dark and angular against the stars. But there was something else. A third vessel appeared in the space between the two fleets. It was enormous. Marcus had seen pictures of Dominion dreadnoughts and human battleships, and this thing made them look like toys. Its shape was wrong somehow. It hurt his eyes to look at it directly. The hull seemed to curve in directions that should not exist. Lights pulsed along its surface in patterns that felt almost like breathing. The unknown ship did not try to communicate. It did not wait. It simply began to kill. Beams of white light cut through the Dominion fleet like knives through paper. Human ships tried to run, but they died just as quickly. Marcus watched the defense fleet vanish in less than 2 minutes. Thousands of people gone. Just like that. Then the beams turned toward Artemis 7. The station shook. Marcus was thrown to the floor. He heard screaming, the terrible sound of metal tearing apart, the rush of air escaping into space. Emergency doors slammed shut around him, but he knew it was hopeless. The station was dying. He found himself crawling through a corridor that was already falling apart. Bodies floated past him. People he knew. Sarah from engineering. Old Thomas, who always complained about the coffee. A young woman whose name he had never learned. All dead. All gone. Marcus reached an airlock and pulled himself inside. He did not know why. There was nowhere to go. But some deep part of him refused to simply give up. He found an emergency suit and pulled it on with shaking hands. The outer door was already damaged, and when he sealed his helmet, the airlock blew open and threw him into space. He tumbled through the debris field. Pieces of the station spun around him. Bodies drifted past. The colony world below was burning now, great fires visible even from orbit. Marcus could hear his own breathing, too fast, too loud inside his helmet. His suit was damaged. He could see the oxygen level dropping. 20 minutes. Maybe less. The alien ship hung in the darkness above him, massive and terrible and completely beyond his understanding. A beam of light touched him. Gentle this time. Not the killing white, but something softer, almost golden. Marcus felt himself being pulled upward. He was too tired to fight. Too tired to do anything except accept whatever was coming. As the light drew him toward the impossible vessel, Marcus did the only thing he could think of. He raised his hands. Palms open. Fingers spread. The oldest gesture of peace that humans knew. He was not surrendering because he had a plan. He was not trying to trick anyone. He was simply a small, scared man who did not want to die. And he was asking, without words, for mercy. Please, he thought. I am nobody. I fix things. I am not your enemy. Please. The ship heard him, not his words. something deeper. The ship had been waiting for 11,000 years. It had watched civilizations rise and fall. It had scanned billions of minds across hundreds of galaxies. And in all that time, it had never found what it was looking for until now. The ship's creators, a species called the Ethon, had built it long ago to keep peace in a galaxy torn by war. They knew that power corrupted. They knew that those who wanted command were often the worst people to have it. So they built something different. They built a ship that would choose its own commander, based on one simple rule. The ship would never accept someone who reached for power. It would only accept someone who reached for peace. Marcus did not know any of this. He only knew that the golden light pulled him through the ship's hull as if the metal was not even there. He found himself standing in a chamber that glowed with soft blue light. The walls seemed to move, to breathe, to watch him with something like curiosity. A voice spoke inside his mind. It was not sound. It was something older and stranger, a presence that touched his thoughts directly. You have been chosen. Marcus opened his mouth to ask what that meant, but the pain hit him before he could speak. It felt like fire inside his skull, like something was reaching into his brain and rearranging everything it found there. He screamed. He fell to his knees. The world turned white, then black, then colors that had no names. When the pain finally stopped, Marcus was lying on the floor, tears streaming down his face. But something had changed. He could feel the ship now, not just around him, but inside him. He could sense its systems, its power, its impossible age. 11,000 years of memory pressed against his mind, and somehow, impossibly, he could understand it. The ship's name was Sovereignty. It had been built to save the galaxy. And it had chosen Marcus Chun, a maintenance technician who fixed water recyclers, to be its commander. Why me? Marcus whispered. The ship's answer was simple. Because you asked for mercy instead of power. Because you opened your hands instead of making fists. Because in your final moment, you chose peace. Marcus lay there in the blue light, the weight of an ancient civilization's hope settling onto his shoulders, and wondered what he was supposed to do now. Outside, the galaxy burned. And somewhere in the darkness between stars, something far worse than the Dominion was beginning to stir. Part 2. The Inheritance. Marcus woke slowly. His body ached in ways he had never felt before. His head was full of strange new thoughts, memories that were not his own, knowledge that seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere at once. He was lying on something soft. The blue light was still there, but gentler now, like morning sun through a window. He sat up and looked around. The chamber had changed while he slept. The walls had grown furniture. A bed beneath him, made of something that felt like warm silk. A table nearby with what looked like food and water. Everything curved and flowed in ways that human design never did, but somehow it felt welcoming rather than strange. How long was I asleep? Marcus asked the empty room. 3 days, the ship answered. Your brain needed time to accept the changes. You are the first human to undergo command integration. I was careful. Marcus touched his head. It did not feel different from the outside, but inside, everything had changed. He knew things now. He knew that the ship was 3.7 kilometers long and powered by something called a singularity heart. He knew that its weapons could crack a planet in half. He knew that it had been drifting through space for 11,000 years, waiting. Most importantly, he knew why the Ethon had been a peaceful species. They lived on a world of great oceans and gentle rains, and they spent most of their long lives creating art and music and new ways to understand the universe. But they were not stupid. They saw the wars that burned across the galaxy. They saw species destroying each other over territory, resources, fear. So they built the Sovereignty-class vessels. Ships so powerful that no one could stand against them. Ships designed to enforce peace, to stop wars before they could spread, to protect the weak from the strong. But the Ethon knew the danger of such power. They had seen what happened when weapons fell into the wrong hands. So they built something into the ships that no one else had ever thought of. They built a test. The ships would choose their own commanders, and they would only choose those who did not want power. It seemed like madness, Marcus thought. Who would want a leader who did not want to lead? The Ethon understood something that most species never learn. The ship said, hearing his thoughts. Those who seek power are almost never fit to hold a tea. They want to control. They want to dominate. They want to prove themselves greater than others. These desires corrupt everything they touch. But I'm nobody, Marcus said. I fix water recyclers. I don't know how to command a ship. You know how to fix what is broken. That is exactly what the galaxy needs. Marcus stood up slowly. His legs felt strange, stronger than before. He walked to the table and looked at the food. It was not human food, but somehow he knew it would nourish him. He ate without thinking, his new knowledge telling him what his body needed. Show me, he said when he finished. Show me what you need me to fix. The walls faded away. Marcus found himself standing on the bridge of the Sovereignty, though his body had not moved at all. The ship could do that, he realized. It could put his mind wherever he needed to be. The bridge was a sphere of darkness filled with stars. Marcus stood at the center, and the galaxy spread out around him in every direction. Points of light marked human colonies, Dominion territories, a dozen other species he had never heard of. And there, in the darkness at the edge of the display, something else. A spreading shadow. A stain on the stars. What is that? Marcus asked the Hollow. It is the reason the Ethon built me. It is the reason I waited. 11,000 years for a commander. The ship showed him. Marcus saw images from long-dead civilizations. Records passed down through countless generations. Warnings carved into the surfaces of dead moons. The Hollow was old. Older than the Ethon. Older than most stars. It was not alive, not in any way that Marcus could understand. It was a machine, built by a species so ancient that even their name had been forgotten. It was built to win a war. And it had won. But no one had ever told it to stop. For millions of years, the Hollow had been spreading through the galaxy. Slowly, patiently. It found civilizations, and it consumed them. It took their resources, their technology, their very matter, and it used everything it took to grow larger and stronger. It could not be reasoned with. It could not be bargained with. It simply ate and grew and moved on to the next meal. Why hasn't anyone stopped it? Marcus asked. Many have tried. The Hollow has destroyed 17 civilizations that rose against IT, not through superior force. Though IT is powerful, through patience, IT waits. IT watches. IT finds the cracks in every alliance and exploits them. Every coalition that formed to fight it eventually fell apart from within. Marcus stared at the spreading darkness. It was still far away, but it was moving. In a few hundred years, maybe less, it would reach this part of the galaxy. It would find the humans and the Dominion and everyone else, and it would consume them all. The Dominion knows about this, Marcus said. It was not a question. He could see it now in the data the ship was showing him. The Dominion's aggressive expansion. Their desperate push for more territory, more resources, more buffer space between themselves and the coming darkness. Yes, they have known for centuries. Their conquest of human space is driven by fear, not hatred. Then we're fighting the wrong war. Yes. Marcus stood in the center of the bridge, surrounded by stars, and felt the weight of 11,000 years pressing down on him. The Ethon had seen this coming. They had built the Sovereignty to help stop it. But they were gone now. their world swallowed by the hollow long ago. And their last hope was a human maintenance technician who had never wanted to be important. "I don't know if I can do this," Marcus said quietly. "I know," the ship replied. "That is why you are the right choice. Those who are certain of their own greatness never question themselves. They never learn. They never grow. But you will question everything. You will doubt yourself every day. And that doubt will keep you honest." Marcus took a deep breath. Outside the ship, the Dominion fleet was regrouping. Human survivors were screaming for rescue. The galaxy was burning, and something far worse was coming. "Okay," he said. "Show me where to start." The ship began to teach him. And Marcus Chen, who had never wanted to be a hero, began the long and painful process of becoming one anyway. Part 3. The Reluctant Commander. The Dominion High Council met in a great hall carved from living crystal on their high homeworld of Veth Prime. 12 species sat around a curved table, their bodies strange and different from each other, but their eyes all showing the same thing: fear. They had seen what the unknown ship could do. They had watched it destroy 2 fleets in minutes. And now that ship was coming here, to the heart of their power, and there was nothing they could do to stop it. The sovereignty dropped out of faster than light travel above Veth Prime. It did not attack. It simply waited, hanging in the sky like a threat and a promise at the same time. Marcus stood on the bridge, looking down at the alien world below. His heart was beating fast. He had practiced what he wanted to say 100 times, but now that the moment was here, he felt like a child pretending to be an adult. "Are you ready?" the ship asked. "No," Marcus admitted, "but I don't think I ever will be. Let's do this anyway." His image appeared in the Dominion Council chamber, projected from the sovereignty in perfect detail. To the aliens, it looked like a human had simply materialized in their most sacred space. Guards raised weapons. Council members shouted in alarm. The translation systems the ship had given Marcus let him understand their words. "Kill it." "How did it get in here?" "Fire. Fire now." Energy beams passed through Marcus's holographic body without effect. He stood calmly, waiting for them to realize what they were seeing. It took almost a minute for the shooting to stop. "I am not here to hurt you," Marcus said. His voice was translated into 12 different languages simultaneously, reaching every council member in their own tongue. "I am here to talk." The highest-ranking Dominion official was a creature called a Veth, a tall being with gray skin and too many joints in its arms. Its name was Coordinator Jess, and it had ruled the Dominion for almost 60 years. Jess looked at Marcus with eyes that held centuries of suspicion and fear. "You destroyed our fleet," Jess said. "You burned a human colony. Now you come here to talk?" "Yes," Marcus said simply. "I did those things. My ship did those things. I cannot change what happened, and I will not pretend to be sorry in a way that would feel false. But I can tell you why I am here now." He paused. The council was silent, waiting. "I am here because you are afraid," Marcus said. "Not of me. Not of humans. You are afraid of the Hollow." The effect was immediate. Council members shifted in their seats. Some looked away. Others whispered urgently to their neighbors. Jiss's gray face became even paler. "You know nothing of such things," Jiss said, but its voice was shaking. "I know everything," Marcus replied. "My ship is old. It has watched the Hollow consume 17 civilizations. It has seen every alliance that tried to stop the darkness fail and break apart. And now the Hollow is coming here, to this region of space. To all of us? Then why should we listen to you? Your ship destroyed our forces. You are our enemy." Marcus shook his head. "I am a maintenance technician. 3 weeks ago, I was fixing water recyclers on a space station. I did not ask for this ship. I did not want this power. But I have it now, and I am choosing to use it to help." He stepped forward, and even though his body was just light and air, the council members moved back as if he were a physical threat. "I could destroy you," Marcus said quietly. "Right now. This ship could crack your world in half and move on to the next Dominion planet and the next until there was nothing left. You know this is true. You have seen what it can do." Jess nodded slowly. The fear in its eyes was naked now, undisguised. "But I am not going to do that," Marcus continued, "because destroying you would not fix anything. The Hollow would still come. It would still eat every civilization in this region of space, including whatever was left of humanity. We would all die, just in a different order." He looked around the room, meeting the eyes of each council member in turn. "I am here to offer you something that has never existed before. An alliance. Not just between humans and the Dominion, but between everyone. Every species in this region of space, working together against the thing that will kill us all if we keep fighting each other." Jess made a sound that might have been laughter. "You are a fool. The Dominion has conquered 100 worlds. We do not make alliances with lesser species. We rule them. And how has that worked out for you?" Marcus asked. "You have spent 300 years building an empire. You have crushed everyone who opposed you. And yet you are still afraid. You are still watching the darkness grow larger every year, knowing that all your power means nothing against something that has been eating civilizations since before your species learned to walk upright." Silence. The council members looked at each other, but no one spoke. "I am not asking you to surrender," Marcus said. "I am not asking you to give up your territory or your pride. I am asking you to consider the possibility that there might be another way. A way where we all survive." He reached out his hand, palm open, finger spread. The same gesture he had made when the sovereignty first found him, drifting in the wreckage of his station. "I am offering peace," Marcus said. "Not because I am weak. Not because I have no other choice. I am offering peace because it is the only thing that might save us all." Jess stared at the offered hand for a long time. The other council members waited. "You ask us to trust a human," Jess said finally. "Your species has been our enemy for generations. Your people hate us." "My people are afraid of you," Marcus corrected. "Just like you are afraid of the Hollow. Fear makes us do terrible things. But it does not have to be this way. We can choose something different." The coordinator looked at the other council members. Something passed between them, some silent communication that Marcus could not read. "We will consider your offer," Jess said at last. "But know this, human. If this is a trick, if you betray us, we will find a way to destroy you, even if it takes 1,000 years." Marcus smiled. It was a tired smile, the expression of a man who had been carrying too much weight for too long. "If I betray you," he said, "I will deserve it. Now let me show you what we are really fighting against." The walls of the council chamber lit up with images of the Hollow, the darkness that was coming for them all. And for the first time in 300 years, the Dominion began to listen to a human. Part 4. The Coalition of the Broken Building. An alliance was the hardest thing Marcus had ever done. It was easy to make people afraid. The sovereignty could appear anywhere, destroy anything, and vanish before anyone could respond. Marcus could have forced obedience through terror. Some part of him, the tired and frustrated part that grew larger with each passing month, sometimes wondered if that would be easier. But fear was not the same as trust. And trust was what they needed if the alliance was going to survive contact with the Hollow. Marcus spent the next 3 years traveling between species. He learned to breathe the thick, heavy air of Makari Council Gardens, where fungal beings communicated through clouds of spores that carried chemical messages. He descended into the machine warrens of the Centauri, a species that had uploaded their minds into metal bodies so long ago that they had forgotten what flesh felt like. He sat in the dark caves of the Vesk, a species the Dominion had enslaved for 2 centuries, and listened to their songs of rage and sorrow. Everywhere he went, beings looked at his ship with hunger. They wanted that power for themselves. They imagined what they could do with a weapon that could crack planets in half. Why do you not use it? The Makari asked him, their spore clouds thick with confusion. You have the strength to rule. Why do you not rule? Because ruling is not the same as leading, Marcus said. If I force you to follow me, you will look for the first chance to break free. You will hate me, and that hate will poison everything we try to build. But if I ask you to walk beside me, if I show you that we are facing the same enemy, then maybe we can become something stronger than any of us could be alone. The Makari did not understand at first. Their species had always been conquered or conqueror, prey or predator. The idea of equals working together was strange to them. But they had songs. Old songs passed down through thousands of generations. Songs about a time before the Dominion, before the Great Wars, when the Makari had lived alongside other species in something that sounded almost like friendship. Marcus asked them to teach him those songs. He learned to release the spore patterns that carried their melodies, even though his human lungs were not built for such things. He coughed and struggled and got the patterns wrong more often than right. But he kept trying, and slowly the Makari began to trust him. The Centauri were harder. They had been machines for so long that they had begun to see biological life as inferior, messy, inefficient. They looked at Marcus and saw a creature made of meat and water, fragile and temporary. You will die in a few decades, the Centauri Collective said, their voice coming from 1,000 speakers at once. Why should we ally with something so brief? Marcus asked the sovereignty to interface with the Centauri network, to show them its own ancient machine mind, built by the Ethon 11,000 years ago. The ship opened itself to them, let them see its memories, its hopes, its long patience while it waited for the right commander. I am also machine, the sovereignty told them, and I have chosen to serve a being of flesh and blood, not because he is superior, because he is good. Goodness does not require perfection. It does not require immortality. It requires only the willingness to try. The Centauri were silent for a long time. Then, slowly, they agreed to join. The Vesk were the hardest of all. They had been slaves of the Dominion for 200 years. Generation after generation had been born in chains, worked until they broke, discarded when they were no longer useful. The older Vesk still carried the scars of neural collars on their necks. The younger ones had grown up hearing stories of their parents' suffering, and their hatred for the Dominion burned like a cold fire in their hearts. Marcus went to them alone. He left the sovereignty in orbit and walked into their largest settlement with nothing but the clothes on his back. The Vesk could have killed him easily. Part of them wanted to. Why should we join your alliance? Their leader asked. Her name was Keth, and she had spent 40 years as a slave before leading the rebellion that finally won her people's freedom. The Dominion is part of your coalition. You ask us to fight beside the same creatures who put chains around our throats? Marcus did not have a good answer. He sat with Keth for 3 days, listening to her stories. She told him about her mother, who had been worked to death in a Dominion mining facility. She told him about her children, 2 of whom had been sold to other masters before she could save them. She told him about the day she finally killed her overseer and the terrible joy she had felt watching him die. I cannot ask you to forgive them, Marcus said when she was done. What they did to your people was evil. There is no excuse, no explanation that makes it acceptable. But I can ask you something else. What? I can ask you to imagine your grandchildren, the children who have not been born yet. The ones who will grow up in whatever world we leave behind. Keth was silent. If we keep fighting each other, Marcus continued, the Hollow will come and destroy us all. Your grandchildren will never exist. Everything your people suffered, everything you fought for, will mean nothing. But if we stand together, even with enemies we hate, we might survive. Your grandchildren might live in a galaxy where the Vesk are free and strong and respected. You ask too much, Keth said. I know, Marcus admitted. I am asking you to be better than the people who hurt you. I am asking you to break the cycle of pain that has defined your people for 200 years. It is the hardest thing anyone can do, but I believe you can do it. Keth looked at him for a long time. Her eyes were hard, but something else was there too. Something that might have been hope. If the Dominion betrays us, she said finally, if they try to enslave us again, I will kill them all. Every last one. And then I will come for you. Marcus nodded. If they betray you, I will help you. The Vesk joined the coalition. One by one, 17 species came together. They did not trust each other. They did not like each other. Many of them had been killing each other for generations. But they all understood the same truth. Alone, they would die together. They might live. Marcus stood before them all at the first great council of the Alliance, looking at faces that ranged from almost human to completely alien. They were broken, all of them, scarred by war and slavery and fear. But broken things could be fixed. That was what Marcus did, after all. The Hollow is coming, he said. We have maybe 50 years before it reaches us. That is not much time. But it is enough. Enough to build ships. Enough to train soldiers. Enough to become something that has never existed before. He looked at the Dominion representatives, who sat uncomfortably close to the Vesk delegates. He looked at the Makari spore clouds and the Centauri metal bodies and all the other strange forms of life that had gathered in this room. We are the coalition of the broken, Marcus said. And we are going to save the galaxy. For the first time, the chamber filled with something other than fear and suspicion. It filled with hope. Part 5. The Human Factor. The war against the Hollow lasted 23 years. Marcus made mistakes. Terrible mistakes. In the third year, he sent a fleet to defend a Centauri outpost, but he had underestimated the Hollow's forces. 40,000 soldiers died. In the seventh year, his battle plan for the Keth Nebula failed completely, and 2 entire colonies were consumed. He stood in the ruins afterward, looking at the empty streets where millions of people had lived, and he wanted to die. But he did not give up. Every night, he woke screaming from nightmares. He saw the faces of the dead, heard their voices asking why he had failed them. He grew thin and tired, with gray in his hair and lines on his face that made him look 20 years older than he was. The coalition almost fell apart a dozen times. When resources grew scarce, species turned on each other. When battles were lost, they looked for someone to blame. When fear grew too strong, old hatred surfaced again. Marcus held them together through pure stubbornness. When the Makari and the Vesk nearly went to war over a disputed planet, Marcus spent 6 months living among both species. He learned their languages properly, not through translation systems, but through the slow, painful process of actually studying. He ate their food, even when it made him sick. He celebrated their holidays and mourned their dead. By the end, both species trusted him more than they trusted each other. How do you do it? Keth asked him once, years after their first meeting. She had become one of his closest advisors, though she still looked at Dominion representatives like she wanted to kill them. How do you keep caring? After everything that has happened? Marcus thought about the question for a long time. I think about my mother, he said finally. She raised me alone after my father died. We did not have much. Some years we did not have enough. but she never stopped trying to make things better. She would work double shifts, then come home and help me with my homework. She would go without food so I could eat. He paused, remembering. She died when I was 17. Cancer. We could not afford the treatment. But before she went, she told me something I have never forgotten. She said that the universe does not care about us. It is not cruel, not kind, just indifferent. But we can choose to care about each other. We can choose to make the universe a little less cold, one small act at a time. Kath was silent. I keep caring because giving up would mean she was wrong, Marcus said. And I cannot accept that. I will not. The final battle came in the 23rd year. The Coalition had pushed the Hollow back, system by system, year by year. They had learned how to destroy its smaller units, how to disrupt its communications, how to predict its movements. But the Hollow's core processing nodes remained untouched, drifting in the void between galaxies, protected by defenses that had destroyed civilizations. Marcus led the assault. Himself, the sovereignty had been his home for over 2 decades now. He knew every system, every corridor, every quirk of its ancient personality. The ship had become more than a tool. It had become a friend. As they approached the Hollow's core, the ship spoke to him one last time. You understand what must happen, it said. Marcus nodded. He had known for years. The Hollow's core was too well protected for conventional weapons. The only thing powerful enough to destroy it was the sovereignty's own singularity heart. The ship would have to detonate itself at the center of the enemy's defenses. You could have told me earlier, Marcus said. When you first chose me, would it have changed anything? Marcus thought about it. 23 years of war. Millions of deaths. A coalition built from species that had spent generations trying to destroy each other. All of it leading to this moment, this choice. No, he admitted. I would have died anyway. That is why you were chosen. The coalition fleet engaged the Hollow's outer defenses. Ships died by the hundreds, then the thousands. The sovereignty pushed deeper, its shields failing layer by layer, its weapons firing until they overheated and burned out. Marcus felt every death through his link with the ship. Every coalition soldier who fell was a voice going silent in his mind, but they kept pushing. The sovereignty reached the core. Around them, the processing nodes of the Hollow stretched in every direction. Vast structures of alien metal had been built before Earth's sun ignited. This was the enemy's brain, if such a word could apply to something that had never been truly alive. You should go, the ship said. There is an escape pod. I modified it without telling you. It will survive the blast. Marcus shook his head. I am not leaving you. You must. The coalition still needs you. They are not ready to stand alone. They will have to learn. The ship was silent for a moment. When it spoke again, its voice was different, softer, almost human. In 11,000 years, you are the only commander I have ever had. The only one I ever wanted. I am glad it was you, Marcus-chun. Marcus felt tears on his cheeks. He had not cried in years. I am glad it was you too, he said. The ship pushed him out. It happened so fast that Marcus could not resist. One moment he was standing on the bridge. The next, he was inside the escape pod, ejected through the hull by emergency systems that had been programmed to act against his wishes. Through the pod's small window, he watched the sovereignty accelerate toward the heart of the Hollow. He watched its shields finally fail, its hull begin to crack, its ancient body break apart under the enemy's assault, and then the singularity heart detonated. The explosion was visible from other galaxies. A light brighter than 1 billion stars, spreading outward in a wave of pure destruction that consumed everything it touched. The Hollow's processing nodes vaporized. Its defenses crumbled. The thing that had eaten 17 civilizations died in an instant of impossible fire. Marcus drifted in the void. alone, watching the light fade. 3 days later, a coalition rescue ship found him. He was barely alive, dehydrated and oxygen-starved, but somehow still breathing. The escape pod had protected him, just as the sovereignty had promised. They offered him everything: leadership of the new interstellar government, a planet named after him, statues in every capital of every species in the coalition. He refused all of it. "I am a maintenance technician," he said, and for the first time in 23 years, he smiled. "I fix things. That is all I ever wanted to do." He took a small ship and a toolkit, and he disappeared into the darkness between stars. The galaxy told stories about him for centuries. They called him the Yielder, the Open Hand, the human who saved everything. They built monuments and wrote songs and named their children after him. But Marcus did not care about any of that. He traveled from system to system, finding broken things and fixing them. A water recycler on a remote station, a failing life support system on a colony ship, a damaged communication array that had left a small community cut off from the rest of civilization. Small things. Ordinary things. The kind of work that no one would remember or celebrate, but it mattered. Every small fix made someone's life a little better. Every repaired system kept someone alive who might otherwise have died. And that was enough. That had always been enough. The universe was cold and indifferent, just as his mother had said. But humans could choose to care. They could choose to make things better. One small act at a time, Marcus Chun, who had saved the galaxy, spent the rest of his life proving that the smallest acts were often the most important of all. And somewhere in the void between stars, in the quantum echoes of an explosion that had ended a million-year threat, something that might have been the ghost of an ancient ship watched over him, proud of what he had become, grateful for what he had always been.